Warner Brothers recently announced that they are going to be attempting to reboot a very beloved franchise, The Matrix. Hello and welcome to Fixing Movies, the show where we take bad or potentially bad movies and we see if we can make them better. I'm the script doctor Nathan Seals, and let's just go ahead and get started. Rumor has it that the Wachowski siblings went to their producers and said, hey, we want to make an anime in real life. We want to make this anime. And they showed them the movie Megazone 23. Even if you just watch the trailer for Megazone 23, you can really see the influence on The Matrix.
What if everything was an illusion run by a computer?
It's manipulated us so skillfully that we'd never realize the truth. All of this so that except for an elite few, the populace would be blissfully living in an illusion of the perfect world.
And it's really cool because Megazone 23 is a product of the 80s. It is a very 80s movie.
Get ready to go back. Back to a time when everything was perfect. The music was hot, and the girls were hotter. And a guy with a cool bike could get laid all summer long.
And they basically took that concept and they said, okay, but what about the 2000s?
It's the question that drives us, Neo.
What is the Matrix? It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. You are a slave born into a prison for your mind.
It's a series that was very much a product of its time. It was really special for what it was, and it helped shoehorn in a lot of really special effects, action sequences. It set the tone for a lot of movies that would come in the next decade. It affects movies now, and the movie is almost 20 years old. It's a really brilliant movie, and it's really well done. And I think that Warner Brothers should be very, very careful when they're handling it. Now, I know that the producers, I think of the producers of the new Matrix movie says, oh no, don't worry, it's not going to be a reboot. We're not going to be remaking, the original trilogy or whatever. Instead, it's going to be either a prequel or a sequel. I guess they haven't decided yet. The franchise won't necessarily benefit from having more story added to it, but if they did, the best way to go about it would be to make a sequel. To me, having a prequel to The Matrix is kind of the cheap way out. And hearing that they have Michael B. Jordan considering for the lead role, it sounds like they're going to do like a prequel with Morpheus, which this is just the easy way out. Don't do that. If you're going to make another movie from a beloved franchise, make it a sequel and have it harken back to the original movies enough to where people kind of see the reflection of the original movies and can see the story kind of expanding and growing. If it doesn't add to the original movies, there's no point in doing it.
Cut!
So essentially what I would do if I were making the Matrix sequel, Matrix 4, I would have the Matrix itself having evolved into what is the current landscape of everything, and where technology controls every aspect of our lives. We have cell phones, we're connected to the internet all the time. A lot of people just hang out in their house and watch TV all day. And in this version, the machines have kind of incorporated technology into everybody's daily lives and have started to manipulate and control people through that, and slowly have begun to pick off the humans' chances to escape the Matrix by removing payphones. So our main character, played by Michael B. Jordan, has pretty much his entire life been invested in the technology and social media culture that is really prevalent in the modern world. Events kind of transpire that make him question maybe media is having too much control over, maybe technology is too involved in his life, and he really longs for that freedom from technology. You know, the people around him are like, you know, why does it matter? You can stay connected to the people around you, things like that. He really just kind of, he feels like he's not getting a human connection anymore with anyone. He feels like he's just kind of isolated, and he wants to have that human connection with people again. He just kind of feels this disconnect from everyone that's around him, including his girlfriend, which this results in him and his girlfriend breaking up pretty early on, and he's super depressed about it. He goes home and he gets like blackout drunk. He wakes up 2 days later in a room full of like 5 dead bodies. Obviously he's freaking out, and he gets a text on his phone that says, you know, you need to leave now, they're coming for you. Before he's able to answer, like, what are you talking about? He gets a knock on the door, and he jumps and he goes over to the door and he looks out, you know, his peephole, and he sees that it's just an old lady. It's like his neighbor, you know, the nosy old neighbor that's just constantly trying to like check up on him and figure out what he's up to. She's like looking through the peephole, like, you know, like, what's going on in there? So he doesn't answer. Obviously, he doesn't want her to know what's going on inside there, because until at least he knows what's going on. Calls his friends, you know, like, hey, well, what happened? And then they're like, you know, you've been missing for days. Like, we haven't heard from you at all. So we were worried about you. There's another knock on his door, and he looks, you know, back in the peephole, and he sees it's not just the old lady, but there are like 5 or 6 other neighbors that are there that are just like standing there, just completely still, just looking straight forward. Whereas this doesn't sit well with him. This is kind of creepy. And he decides that he's going to open the door, so he reaches for the lock and he starts to unlock it when the head of an axe just smashes through the door right next to his face, and he's like, ah! You know, and it's the old lady. She has an axe. She's hacking at the door, runs toward the window, and he jumps out the window onto the ledge trying to like get away. He goes to like kick down the ladder that goes down, and it just falls off and clatters like, you know, 15 stories down. He looks up, and then there's a SWAT team coming down. So he backs back up into his apartment, and he gets another text from the girl, and she's like, hey, you need to fight your way out of this, or you're not going to survive. He's like, I don't know how. I don't, you know, how am I going to do that? The SWAT team and crazy people and everything like that. She's like, you know Kung Fu. Sends him a link. He clicks the link, and then the attachment opens up, and instantly it's downloaded into his brain, the knowledge of how to do Kung Fu. And he's like, I know Kung Fu. So he turns around and he goes into the hallway and he starts beating the crap out of his neighbors, who are just gone psychotic. They have weapons, they have, you know, axes, and they have pans and bats and things like that. And so he's just fighting his way through this giant corridor down like 10 flights of stairs, while like SWAT team members are like bursting in through the windows and shooting at him, and he's disarming them, and you know, he's, you know, has no idea how he's able to do it, but he's like, this is great, I'm gonna be able to get out of this alive. So he makes his way down to like the main lobby area, you know, where the entrance is, and he starts heading towards the doors like, I'm gonna get out of here, when Neo steps out of the shadows, and he's like, you know, and he recognizes Neo, but he's not sure why, but he knows he's scared because apparently Neo is wanting to fight him. But even then he still, you know, goes into his fighting stance, and both, you know, Mike and Neo have to fight. There's a huge fight, but of course, you know, Mike gets his ass beat throughout the entire fight. He does manage to, you know, elude him enough to escape into an alleyway where, you know, a sewer grate is opened up, and a girl's like, hey, come in here, and he jumps in and escapes. So Neo runs out, you know, and nobody's around. So Neo's, you know, pissed and flies away. In the sewers, this girl is leading our hero Mike through, you know, the tunnels, and he's like, who are you? And she's like, I'm the White Dove, obviously, duh. And he's like, oh, that makes sense. She leads him to like an underground like lair where there's a bunch of other people that are like, you know, matrixy. They, you know, they're all wearing sunglasses, and they're all, you know, enlightened and things like this. He's like, what's going on? He's informed that, you know, he was once a person that was freed by Neo in the Matrix, and now Neo has gone insane, and the machines have taken over the Matrix again, and they're trapped there in the Matrix. They can't get out. They basically tell him, you know, like, hey, you're a really respected scientist in the real world, and inside of your brain is locked away the missing puzzle piece that they need to reassemble the machine that'll let them escape the Matrix again. So they try to hook him up into this machine so they can extract the knowledge from him, because if they can put in knowledge, they can take out knowledge too. They say everything's going to be perfectly safe, and nobody's going to find you because we've figured out how to put up this barrier inside of the Matrix that'll prevent people from tracking us down. It's like basically a reverse EMP, blocks off all the technology from outside. So they hook him up to this machine, and as soon as they activate it, like the electricity flickers and everything goes down. All of their technology goes down all of a sudden, and immediately agents just swarm in and they invade and they're attacking him. They manage to get him, the White Dove, and one other person out before everyone else is just slaughtered by the agents. Our main character wakes up in one of the ships, like an old version of the ship that they used to fly around in the Zion area. He's basically hanging suspended by his neck by the wire that's attached to him, and pulls it out and falls down. Here he finds out that what was once like the hope for humanity, Zion, is now empty, like completely empty. And him and a few of the people that managed to survive from the group in the Matrix, they discover that humanity has again been enslaved by the machines, not only inside the Matrix, but outside of the Matrix. And they're able to more or less deduce that the person that they thought was going to be the savior in Zion, the person that had kind of disappeared, Neo, has now become like this machine's, cyborg entity that has more or less lost his mind and has decided that it's best for humanity to control them and to make sure that humanity survives by making sure they repopulate. Essentially, this movie is kind of a commentary on like our modern relationship with technology, and how the further every generation that goes by, the further we get into this mindset where our lives are more involved with technology, and we kind of lose a bit of that humanity that we have. As we kind of become more connected, we also become a little more disconnected from the people around us. And I'm kind of thinking of it as kind of like it would be awesome to see Keanu Reeves play a villain, but it would also be awesome to have a redemption story for Neo. So you kind of have the original arc where he becomes the one and he saves the world, and then he falls from grace, and then he slowly becomes the one again, where he needs to save humanity again. I don't know, tell me what you think in the comments below. What do you think the new movie is going to be like? Do you like my idea? Do you want to see something else? Would you like to just see the prequel with Morpheus? I don't know, that might be interesting. Let me know in the comments below. I will talk to you guys later. Live long and prosper, suckers.